Donna Ray Berkelhammer, I want to talk to you because what is the government doing to us now? Because I'm a small business and I saw something on social media going, you better register your LLC or bad things will happen. And I thought it was a scam, honestly, when I first saw it.
Yeah, so Martin, did you know that the United States is a haven for money laundering and shell companies and financial crimes? Um,
I did
we
not.
are one of the only countries in the world where you form a company and you can form a company here and there is no central place where you list who owns it and who formed it. So you've got
Ah,
all these shell companies and it's been very hard for law enforcement to find who owns them and who's connected and who's the lawyers and the accountants that are working for all these folks. So in 2011, they passed the Corporate Transparency Act. And starting January 1st, they finally have all the regulations and it went into effect. What it does is it's supposed to provide substantial reforms to anti money laundering laws. It's supposed to prevent and combat money laundering, terrorist financing, corruption, and tax fraud.
ah.
And because they don't know who's doing all this, because that's kind of the point of the law, almost every business is going to have to register what they call beneficial ownership information, BOI, with a database run and managed by the Department of Treasury. So, your first question is my company a reporting company?
Right.
And almost all small businesses that are LLCs, corporations, limited partnerships, or any other kind of an entity that you form by filing something with the North Carolina Secretary of State is a reporting entity.
Mm.
It does not include nonprofits. It does not include companies that are already registering this type of material in another place. So, accounting firms, securities brokers, venture capital funds, things like that. There's 23 exceptions, but for the most part, if you're not a tax exempt company and you're a small business with less than 20 employees, you're going to have to report this stuff. I can help people determine if they're a reporting company because that's your first question. Once you know that you have to report, what do you have to report? So you have to report two things. First are the beneficial owners. A beneficial owner is someone who owns 25% or more of a company, and that can be voting or non voting ownership. So sometimes you have silent partners in a company that don't get to vote on anything, but they get money. If you own 25% or more, even if you're non voting, you are a beneficial owner. Some people have gotten bank loans where you had to fill out a beneficial owner information sheet, similar information. So people might be aware of it from that angle. The other thing you have to report, it's also known as a beneficial owner. It's not what we consider ownership, kind of in a lay sense. It's people who have substantial control, is the word in the statute, over the company. So, who has substantial control? Senior officers, president, CFO, CEO, general counsel, COO, chief operating officer, anyone else that has those types of job responsibilities, no matter what their title is, people who can appoint or remove these types of officers. So that might be your board of directors. Most of the companies you and I work with, the owners are the directors. There's not an outside board, so it probably won't catch different people. If you have a general counsel at your company, they might be a senior officer. I think that's going to be the hardest part of this law is figuring out who has substantial control. So you have to report your beneficial owners and your people who have control. What do you have to report? You have to put the name, current residential address, date of birth, and then you have to provide either a current unexpired driver's license, passport, or similar identity document. And there's some other ones in there, but those are going to be the primary ones that people have. You're going to have to actually upload that document to the database for the beneficial owners and the substantial control people. The companies that are already in existence as of January 1st, they have this entire calendar year to file this information. New companies that were formed starting January 1st, you have 90 days from the day your articles were filed at the Secretary of State to provide this information. For new companies only, you also have to provide what they call a company applicant. And that's going to be up to two different kinds of people. It's going to be the founders of the company, usually one or more owners, who often they sign the articles of organization or the articles of incorporation, or the person that actually submitted the document to the Secretary of State, which is going to be me, the lawyer who uploaded the document. I have what they call a FinCEN number, so that I don't have to give all of you my name, address, date of birth, and driver's license. I can give you my FinCEN number if I formed you, and you can file it that way. The other two things you need to know about this act is every time some of this information changes, the company moved addresses, the owner moved addresses, somebody got a renewed driver's license, the board of directors changed, there's a new president. You have 30 days to provide an update of the information to the FinCEN. That's the organization at the Department of Treasury, the FinCEN database. There are civil fines of $500 a day up to $10,000, and there could be criminal penalties. My guess is if you upload change of information or incorrect information as soon as you find out about it, there's not going to be a penalty. The other thing is, just like you were saying, you got this email, it seemed like a scam. There are a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of phishing going on for this sensitive information. So be very careful who you get to file this for you. I can tell you that the accountants are taking a position that this is a practice of law, so your accountant won't be able to find it. And there are commercial entities like CT Corporation, which serves as a registered agent for a lot of companies. They have a service where you can have them file for you. I am working on a process in my law firm to be able to do this with people, but right now I'm not able to safely keep your driver's license and other information. So until I have a process, I won't be able to help you. I hope by the end of February I'll be up and running.
Cool. And then we'll put the information below so they can reach you, because you've been one of the go-to people when for small business help. And I appreciate the fact you're not available till you can securely transfer that and make sure their identity is protected. Take a moment and just tell people who you are and where you work out of, because I've had you in the social media management program at State and many different aspects that relate to small businesses you've provided expert knowledge on.
My name is Donna Ray Berkelhammer. I am the owner of Legal Direction, which is a law firm that protects and supports today's small business. What we do is we help what we call Main Street businesses with startup, growth, all the way through buying or selling a company. We're a good first place to go if you have a small business law question.
Yes, and I highly recommend you. So some other questions. Sole proprietor, do they need to do something?
A true sole proprietor does not, but for people that only have one owner and have either an LLC or a corporation, For tax purposes, you are often considered a sole proprietor, but not for legal purposes. So if you have an LLC or a corporation, you do have to file this information. And I can provide for you guys the website. You can click on it, it'll walk you through the process, and you can file it there yourself.
Yeah, I have to just say, I actually, Colleen and I, my assistant, sat down to do it, and I personally found it a nightmare to work with. So I'm glad that you're working to help people out with it, because I was born and raised in D.C., and one thing guaranteed is it'll be difficult if you interact with them most of the time.
I thought it wasn't horrible for a government database, but
Okay,
for a
all right,
government
that's right.
database, I
In the
guess, is the
context,
magic
okay,
word.
that's all right. So we'll give them some slack, but I do want to just tell people it could be a struggle, and that's why I'm excited someone like you is going to start offering this if they hit a wall and go, I really need to just pay someone to do it. Because in a small brick and mortar business, their time is so short. Their money's tight, but their time is so short that sitting down and fighting through these things is pretty difficult. Can you give an idea of some type of price range that usually will cost to pay someone to do this, and questions they need to make sure of someone who's going to do it for you? Because you just said something very important. Would the lawyer be able to handle my private data properly so that it's transferred correctly?
I don't have a sense of what people are charging. I can tell you, bear in mind that your penalty for not doing it starts at $500 a day fine. So,
Do
use
the
that as
math.
a risk assessment. But, I'm going to have to buy some programs to help me collect and manage safely data and upgrade some things. So know that whoever's doing this for you has not only risk, because if you put inaccurate information, there's a problem, some cybersecurity risk as well. So it's not just as easy as let me get your address and upload it to the federal government. There's a lot of layers of risk there.
I see. That's a great point. So you not only have, of course, your legal reputation and all those aspects, but someone who's doing it properly is probably going to have extra software in their legal firm to be able to manage this type of document properly.
And store it, because
Yeah.
I typically try not to keep personally identifiable information, because if I don't have it in the first place, I can't get hacked and my clients are safe. But this I have to have.
I think we've covered the main issues of what they need. One, if you're any of those domains other than potentially a sole proprietor, but if you're sole proprietor LLC, you probably need to do it. And if you don't know, because the fines are so high, you probably ought to at least learn about it to make sure if you qualify or not. And I'm glad to know that why they're doing it, because I didn't see a good explanation. When the government puts this out, it'd be nice to say, we're doing this because this is a major problem. But, that's a lot to ask, is educate us why they're over what looks like another overreach of the government, from my perspective, being an advocate for small businesses. So that's useful to note, and that hopefully this will clear up some of the real criminal activity that's going on. Probably take a few years or so that which makes it safer for all of us.
You're not the only one who thinks this is overreach and who is struggling to comply.
My experience of our government is, if we've got 3 bad people, let's impose on all 5, especially the innocent people, and overburden them. So that's my automatic listening for something coming from them. So, the fact of it is the law's passed. We can't change it. If you don't like it, make sure you had voted, whoever is involved, and talk to your representative. But it's here already, and we need to now responsibly find out, so we aren't one of their test cases or someone else. And my other experiences, they seem to go to sometimes the small people over the bigger criminals first. So you don't want to be one of their poster childs of, oh, we found someone not doing the law correctly. Anyone related to LLC needs to do this. They need to get knowledgeable on it. And what I'll do is the moment you're all set up and going, I'll update the URL. So check to see if you see this later on and you go down, I'll say now she's available for taking, clients and helping them. I'll put that down there as well so that this will stay current throughout the year, because this is really an important thing that we need to do and take action on and potentially get help with. And you said something very important that I had already heard. Most CPAs are delegating this to lawyers. So if you have a lawyer that's doing it, make sure they're handling the document. And if you don't, contact you. Anything else you want to tell people?
Share with your small business friends, because I think the hardest part of this is getting the word out that you got to do it.
Okay, thanks very much. This was great. I appreciate it. Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you, Martin.